Hey everybody, welcome back. As you can see, it's baking day again. March 28th, National Black Forest Cake Day. Now I remember having the Black Forest cake, probably the last time I had it was when I was a kid. And I wasn't crazy about it then. But I'm hoping this is one of those things like I talked about in other shows that you had as a kid and you hated and you would never eat this again, blah blah blah. But as an adult, you taste it and go, wow, this is great. What the heck was I missing all these years I didn't make it? So I don't think I've ever made a Black Forest cake, but I've definitely had one, but not for many, many years. So we got all our stuff laid out here. It's a couple different steps to put this thing together. So let's get started right away. I'll show you what you need for step one, all right? For step one, you'll need 1 3/4 cup of water, 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, and a cup of fresh or frozen dark sweet cherries. Okay, let's get started with step one. We have our sugar and water in a pot here. We're just going to melt this down. We're going to bring this to a boil, and then we're going to dump in our cherries and poach them for about 10 minutes or so, okay? Because we want to really soften them up for our cake. These are the frozen ones too, so they're hard right now, but they'll definitely soften up. But you want to make this simple syrup first to poach them in, okay? Okay, so we got our cherries in, and they're going to poach for about 10 minutes or so, okay, into this simple syrup. And while we're doing that, let's get started on our cake, because we have our oven started, preheated, 350. Let's get that going, because this batter is going to come in. Now, this is one of those batters that it's a bunch of steps. It's not just, hey, throw everything in the mixer, mix it up, blend it according to directions. Your cake has to be a certain way. I guess this is going to make it lighter and fluffier or something like that for this particular cake. Okay, so what we're going to do to start is take your stick of butter and melt it in the microwave, okay? Because this has to cool back down to room temperature. You don't want it to be hot, you just want it lukewarm. So melt that first and let it sit, okay? Then what you're going to do is sift your flour and your cocoa powder together, and just make sure that those are nice and sifted. You need this to be really smooth consistency, okay? No lumps. See the big lumps? We don't want lumps. It's got to be like this. Look at that. Like powder. Okay, and then after you have that sifted, just set that aside. What you're going to do now is take your 6 room temperature eggs, not cold from the fridge, let them sit out for a little bit, or even soak them in a little warm water for about 10 minutes just to bring them to room temperature, okay? 6 eggs into our mixer with our whip attachment, okay? We're going to take our sugar. This is the 3/4 cup of sugar, I believe. And our vanilla, okay? Into there, and we are going to whip this up until it almost doubles in volume, about 5 minutes, okay? Okay, so that's been about 5 minutes. You can see this really whipped up nice and thick. Actually, we wanted to, I thought of it wrong, we don't want it to double in size, we want it to almost triple in size, which we definitely have there, okay? So now what you're going to do is you're going to sift your cocoa flour mixture again into this, but in two batches. So a little bit first, maybe half of it first, into your egg mixture here. And we're not mixing it, we're folding it in. So you want to be as gentle as possible with this. Obviously that's what's going to give it that airy quality. You kind of, because you whipped up the eggs the way you did. Let me just kind of show you that if I can. See how the eggs are it's very light and creamy like. So you want to gently fold in to keep all that air that you aerated into your eggs into your batter, okay? So we're just gently folding this in just till we get it incorporated, and then we'll do the second half of the batter, okay? But make sure you get really deep down in and get the stuff off the bottom, okay? Okay, and then once you have it all mixed, see how light and fluffy this batter is? Now what you're going to do is take your room temperature butter now, your melted room temperature butter, not hot, and you're going to take a dollop of this mixture here, and you're just going to kind of mix this in to your butter, okay? Kind of like the way you temper your eggs. It's kind of like that, so you don't want to just dump your butter into your whole thing of batter. You kind of want to mix it in a little bit and get it incorporated into a little bit of your batter, and then we're going to add this whole thing back to that, but at least it'll be kind of started mixed in already. Know what I mean? Then once you have it mixed in there, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to put this into your big bowl full of the batter, and you're going to just fold it in. You don't want to beat it. You don't want to, use your mixer for this. You don't want to use a whisk. You just want to turn it to try to keep your batter as fluffy as possible. Okay? So you just give it a couple turns until you see that it's pretty much incorporated in. Okay? Finally, what you want to do now that your batter's ready, I'm going to use this cake pan here. It's an 8-inch pan by 3 inches deep. I'm hoping that gives me some height because you're only making one cake with this, and it's a multi-layer cake, but you're only doing one cake and then slicing it to get your layers. It's not like you have 2 or 3 like sometimes when you make a layer cake you make 2 or 3 with the separate pans. This one you're just doing it in one pan, I guess, because you really want the height and the fluffiness of the cake. Okay, so generously grease the pan, parchment paper on the bottom, and then a little spray on top of that even. And we're going to get our batter into here. You'll see how, look how light this batter is. Okay, and then just try to smooth it out as much as possible. There's our cake. It's extremely loose batter, so it's so aerated. You can see all the tiny little air bubbles in this. So I'm assuming this is going to be a very puffy angel food-like cake. Alrighty, into our oven for about 30 minutes, baking. Keep your eye on it, alrighty? So, we're back. We're just about done here. Our cake has come out. It's cooled to room temperature. We left that out. We had our bowl and our beater in the refrigerator with our ingredients to get them really cold because we're going to make that whipped frosting that's going to go in here. Okay, we got our stuff to make our syrup that we're going to brush on our cake. We got our cherries. Alrighty, so we're ready to assemble this thing. Let's get started. The next step you're going to have to do with this is you're going to have to cut this cake this way, to make 2 or 3 layers. It says to try 3, but I don't know. It doesn't look tall enough for 3. So I think we'll go with 2. Be just as good. Alrighty? So we're just going to cut that. Use a serrated knife. Try to find one that's as long or longer than your cake. So when you're cutting through, you don't have to, if you have a short little knife, you're going to have to cut around and around, and you might mess up the cake. So hopefully this one will get us right through it, okay? Well, let's get started. Okay, for our filling and frosting today, we need 2½ cups of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of Kirsch liqueur, ½ cup of our poaching liquid from our cherries, and that's it. Okay, so what we're going to do next, as you can see, I changed my mind and I did do 3 layers. It actually came out okay. It was easier to cut across than I thought. So what we're going to do now is make our whipped cream so we can start to assemble this thing, okay? So you're going to take your 2½ cups of cold, heavy cream. Make sure it's really nice and cold. You can even put it in the freezer for like a couple minutes just to make sure it gets really, really, really cold. Okay? You're going to take your confection sugar, your powdered sugar, and you're just going to whip this until it's nice and peaky. Peaky? Peaky. What what you got to do is take some, I took that Kirsch liqueur and that simple syrup, the cherry one that we reserved, and you basically got to brush your cake with this liquid, okay? It's going to soak into the cake, sweeten it up a little bit, I'm guessing. I don't know, give it a little more of a cherry flavor, cherry chocolate. Okay. Not too heavy, just make sure though that you get, you know, kind of around evenly coated. I cracked one layer of cake, so I put that one on the bottom. So we're going to pile it up. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Alrighty, so then what you do after you put that on your cake, take some of your whipped cream, okay, and you're just going to make a nice layer of whipped cream here. Make sure my cake stays together. Okay, and don't spread it all the way to the end, because when you put the other layer on, it's going to kind of smush it out back to the edge anyway. So leave a little bit of a lip there. Okay. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is take about half of my cherries here, because it's not a lot of cherries, so you kind of don't want to. You want to spread them out a bit. Okay. I mean, you could probably do more cherries if you wanted to, just so you have a thicker layer of cherries, but I kind of like the idea of just a bite of cherry here and there without it totally overpowering the whole cake, okay? So we got that on there. Now we're going to take our middle layer, sit that right on top. Same thing. Alrighty, there's our finished product. Yeah, I did do the shaved chocolate on the top, dressed it up a little bit. Nice looking cake. Still would look pretty with if you wanted to pipe it with, you know, some kind of a fancy tip and do that, okay? But let's cut into this and let's see how we did. Let's see if it's something that I really didn't like as a kid and still don't like, or not that I didn't like it, it just, I don't know, it just seemed kind of, you gotta really like the cherry thing. Okay, let's take that piece out of there. That's a nice looking piece there. You can see some of the cherry in there. I don't know. It just seems like this might be kind of boring because it's basically chocolate cake and whipped cream and a little cherry thrown in. But I'm hoping the soaking of the liquid in the cake is what really makes this, you know, that great cake. Let's see. Okay, we'll get ourselves a nice piece there. And let's see. It's not bad, I'm just not really getting... Okay, there's some pieces of cherry. I was going to say, I'm not really getting the cherry flavor here. Maybe it needs more cherries. Yeah. I mean, it's a good cake. Just a little boring, I think. Maybe I didn't soak enough liquid into the cake part of it to really give it that cherry flavor, or maybe I needed to put more cherries in there. I mean, I didn't want to overpower it. But I mean, it's a really good cake. You know, just not really exciting. Alright. Back to the drawing board. No, really, this one was okay. Not a bad cake, and, you know, we celebrate whatever it is. So, happy Black Forest to everybody. Now, tomorrow's cake, because we have to do another cake tomorrow, is a lemon chiffon. Make sure you come back for that one, because that one's going to be really good. Alrighty, see you tomorrow, everybody.